Beyond the Gates spoilers tease that Ashley Morgan's day starts like any other. Morning sunlight filters through the bedroom curtains, the smell of fresh coffee in the kitchen, and the faint hum of traffic from the street below. But by mid-afternoon, the world has tilted on its axis. An argument with her boss, harsh words exchanged over a missed deadline, has left her shoulders tense, her heart pounding, and her confidence shattered. She packs up her laptop and notes in a daze, not caring that she's leaving half an hour earlier than her usual time to leave work. As she stepped onto the sidewalk, the crisp air did nothing to soothe her. The sharp sting of failure and embarrassment hovered over her like an unwelcome guest. Without thought, she hailed a cab that took her to the Lantern Bar, a dimly lit refuge she knew all too well. The low hum of conversation and the amber glow of vintage sconces were strangely comforting. She slid onto a stool at the far end of the polished mahogany counter, ordered a whiskey neat, and lifted the glass to her lips as if it held the remedy to all her woes. With each sip, the tension eased, her jaw unclenched, her thoughts slowed, and a dull warmth began to spread through her chest. Not far away, Andre Richardson faced his own heartbreak. Days earlier, he had summoned the courage to express his feelings to Dani Dupree, only to be met with gentle but firm rejection. Dani valued their friendship too much to risk complicating it with romance, she'd said, and Andre had left the conversation with both relief that the truth was out and a gnawing ache that he could not quench with words alone. That evening, alone in his apartment, he poured a glass of bourbon and stared at the wall, memories of Dani's smile twisting into regrets. Ultimately, no one felt more drawn to drowning their sorrows in alcohol than Andre that night. He donned his leather jacket and made his way to the Lantern Bar, hoping the anonymity of the crowd and the burn of a strong drink would dull the sting of unrequited love. He ordered a double on the rocks and settled into the stool next to Ashley, unaware that her auburn hair and weary eyes belonged to someone he had known only in passing circles of acquaintances. Fate, however, delights in irony. A mutual glance led to a tentative smile, and soon they were sharing the silence that belongs only to strangers bound by loneliness. As their second and third drinks arrived, the ice in their glasses clinked like an invitation. Ashley told Andre about the argument that drove her here, the humiliation of being rebuked by someone she respected. Andre reciprocated, describing Dani's rejection and the confusion that followed. Their words tumbled out in slurred honesty, Ashley's fear that her career would never recover, Andre's hope that friendship might heal his wounded heart. With each confession, the distance between them dissolved. Andre realized, with a pang of guilt, that his feelings for Ashley had been simmering beneath his unspoken affection for Dani. He admitted, voice thick with emotion, that his pursuit of Dani had been, in part, an attempt to distract himself from thoughts of Ashley, a truth that stunned him even as it spilled from his lips. He confessed that while he did care deeply for Dani, it was Ashley who occupied his dreams. Though the admission felt like a betrayal to Dani, Ashley's eyes glistened with unexpected warmth. She reached across the bar, brushing her hand against his, moved by the vulnerability in his gaze. Soon Andre offered to drive her home, but as he revved the engine of his car, Ashley hesitated. "I don't want to go back yet," she murmured, her voice wobbly. The city lights danced across her face as she leaned back in the passenger seat. "Can you take me somewhere else?" Understanding gleaming in his eyes, Andre steered toward his apartment, a place of safety and privacy. The ride was filled with soft music and the quiet settling of new intimacy. Once inside, they shed the armor of sobriety and sorrow. Their conversation faded into breathless laughter as glasses went unemptied and inhibitions melted away. Minutes later, they found themselves pressed together on Andre's living room couch, the tension of the night giving way to a different kind of heat. A single kiss led to another, and soon they tumbled into his bedroom, guided by a yearning neither had anticipated earlier that evening. In the dim glow of the bedside lamp, they lost themselves in each other, bodies entwined and hearts racing, oblivious to the world beyond the walls. What neither Ashley nor Andre foresaw was Dani's silent approach. Guilt and regret propelled her toward Andre's door. She had driven over on impulse, her mind replaying their last conversation, wishing she had been braver, harsher, kinder, anything but dismissive. The sound of muffled voices and hushed laughter reached her ears just before she turned the doorknob. Stepping inside, Dani froze. Before her lay the proof of her deepest fear, Andre and Ashley tangled beneath the sheets, illuminated by moonlight filtering through the window. The sight struck her like a physical blow. Her heart hammered, tears sprang to her eyes, and betrayal etched itself into every line of her body. Wordlessly, she retreated, the door clicking softly shut behind her. Dani's decision came swiftly. The next morning, phone calls went unanswered, texts remained unread. When Andre discovered her absence, panic supplanted his hangover. He dialed her number repeatedly, each ring echoing in his apartment like a countdown. Finally, her voicemail greeted him with a tremor of finality. That afternoon, Dani arrived at Andre's door for a confrontation he could neither avoid nor escape. Her voice, though steady, carried the weight of heartbreak and resolve. She laid bare her pain, how she had hoped their bond would lead to something more, only to find it hollowed out by deceit. She described the image that haunted her, Andre and Ashley's arms, their silhouettes seared into her memory. And with that, her decision, she could not betray herself further by pretending to forgive him. Their relationship, she declared, was over. For Andre, the truth struck like lightning. He acknowledged the error of his ways. First, in hiding his true feelings, and second, in betraying Dani's trust. He attempted an apology, but the words felt inadequate, echoing back at him like empty promises. Dani turned away, tears slipping down her cheeks, but her posture remained unbowed. She left him standing alone on the threshold of his own mistakes, the slam of the door final. In the aftermath, Ashley awoke beside Andre, blissful ignorance still warm in their sheets. But the morning light brought clarity and dread. She dressed quietly and followed the hushed voices drifting from the living room. There, she found Andre, pallid and hollow-eyed, on his phone, his tone pleading. "Please, Dani, just let me explain," he implored. Ashley realized then that their night together had consequences far beyond stolen moments. Lives were fracturing in its wake. Despite the turmoil, Ashley felt a pang of protectiveness for Andre. She stepped forward and gently placed a hand on his shoulder. "Go talk to her," she urged. "Don't leave this hanging." Her words carried the irony of someone who had just broken trust, but still believed in honesty. Andre squared his shoulders and left Ashley in the dim hallway. He retraced Dani's steps to her apartment, rehearsing apologies that might never be enough. Meanwhile, Ashley returned to her own world, grappling with regret that her night of escape had come at the expense of another's heart, and that her solace had become someone else's pain. As the dust settled over their intertwined lives, each returned to a reality reshaped by their choices. Ashley faced the repercussions of her own vulnerability, wondering if the warmth she found had been genuine affection or the temporary balm of drink and desperation. Andre confronted the shattered trust of a woman who had valued him enough to forgive before, and who now would not. Dani, for her part, found strength in her decision, embracing the painful clarity of self-respect over the hollow comfort of a relationship built on secrets. Life, as it often does, moved forward. The Lantern Bar's stools filled with new patrons. Ashley eventually returned, but only in daylight hours, nursing herbal tea instead of whiskey. Andre dived into his work with renewed focus, determined to prove that he could be worthy of loyalty. Dani leaned on friends and family, rediscovering passions sidelined by heartbreak. Their paths would cross again. Fate has a way of weaving individuals back into each other's orbits, but the night when wounds were poured and convictions betrayed remained etched in their memories. For within those stolen hours of shared sorrow and illicit passion lay the lessons that would guide them forward. That honesty, even when painful, is the truest form of intimacy, that actions born of desperation carry consequences, and that the heart, once bruised, can heal stronger when given the space to choose itself. Morning sunlight filtered through the slatted blinds of Ashley's small apartment, illuminating dust motes that danced in the quiet air. The events of the previous night played in her mind like the final scenes of a tragic play, each memory vivid, each emotion raw. She traced her fingers along the coffee table, where 2 empty mugs stood, remnants of the long conversation following Andre's departure. He had returned hours ago, voice hoarse, eyes pleading. They had talked until dawn, hashing out the tangled web of feelings and regrets. When he finally left again, he hadn't looked back. Ashley dressed slowly, opting for jeans and a loose sweater, seeking comfort in simplicity. She brewed a cup of chamomile tea and settled by her window, watching the city awaken. Despite the warmth of the sun, a chill lingered in her chest, guilt. She thought of Dani's resolute face at Andre's doorstep, the hurt in her voice as she ended things. And she thought of Andre, whose affection for her had surfaced only through infidelity. Was their connection built on true compatibility, or merely on shared vulnerability and alcohol-fueled confessions? Meanwhile, Andre faced his own reckoning. He returned to his apartment to find voicemail after voicemail from Dani, but each time he played them, her words, firm, hurt, and final, echoed louder than his apologies. He spent the morning drafting an email of explanation, but the moment he hit send, he deleted it, realizing that pen and paper could never fully convey the emotion in his tangled heart. Instead, he laced up his running shoes and sprinted through the sunrise-lit streets, each pounding footstep a plea for clarity and forgiveness. Yet the harder he ran, the more he confronted the truth. In trying to escape his pain with Ashley, he had inflicted far greater pain on the woman who genuinely cared for him. Dani, for her part, retreated into solitude, though not for long. Her friends rallied around her, insisting on coffee dates, impromptu yoga sessions, and early morning hikes. She rediscovered her love of painting, a passion she had sidelined while falling for Andre's charismatic charm. Standing before a blank canvas, she poured her emotions into bold strokes of cerulean blue and fiery crimson. Each layer of paint felt cathartic, washing away a little more of the betrayal she had endured. Weeks passed, and the wound began to scab over. Ashley, too, started rebuilding her life. She returned to work, apology and humility in tow, determined to prove that one bad moment would not define her. Her boss, though initially skeptical, recognized her renewed dedication and offered her oversight of a small new project, an opportunity Ashley embraced with fervor. Late nights at the office replaced late nights at the Lantern Bar, and the whiskey neat was traded for green tea. Andre found solace in service. Guilt still weighed heavily on him, so he volunteered at a local youth center, mentoring teens who struggled with abandonment and broken homes. In guiding them, he faced his own failures and began to rebuild his moral compass. He avoided the Lantern Bar, too, opting instead for sunrise runs and library visits, hoping that disciplined routines might steer him back to integrity. One crisp autumn evening, Ashley and Dani's paths crossed unexpectedly at a gallery opening downtown. Ashley was there to support a colleague's artwork. Dani was showcasing several of her new canvases. When Ashley paused before one painting, a swirl of deep purples and blacks intersected by a streak of gold, she sensed Dani's presence behind her. Danielle's heart skipped, a mixture of caution and unresolved emotion fluttering in her chest. "Your work is incredible," Ashley said softly, nodding toward the canvas. Her own voice surprised her with its sincerity and lack of contrition. "It's powerful." Dani turned, scanning Ashley's face. Gone were the traces of last night's champagne haze. She looked composed, grounded. After a lingering pause, Dani offered a small, cautious smile. "Thank you. It's been therapeutic." In that moment, the two women stood between past hurt and a shared passion for art, a bridge neither had expected. They struck up a tentative conversation about color theory and emotional expression, each finding in the other a semblance of understanding. For Ashley, it was a chance to see Dani not as an adversary, but as a fellow creative spirit. For Dani, it was a step toward letting go of bitterness. Across town, Andre learned of the gallery meetup through a mutual friend's social media post. He paused before sending a message to Dani, unsure whether to congratulate her or to avoid reopening wounds. Finally, he opted to attend the event, hoping simply to bear witness to Dani's emerging strength. As he entered the brightly lit gallery, he recognized Ashley speaking with Dani. His heart tightened. He stepped quietly to the side, observing as they laughed softly over a shared anecdote, two women whose conflict had once been epic now finding common ground. Rather than approach, Andre lingered by a sculpture in the corner, reflecting on how far all three had come. He had been the catalyst of their pain, but perhaps he could also learn from their resilience. When Dani glanced his way, their eyes met, and in hers he saw no anger, only the calm of someone who had reclaimed herself. He inclined his head in respectful acknowledgement before turning away. In the weeks that followed, the trio's lives continued to entwine, though now in healthier patterns. Dani and Ashley occasionally exchanged art supplies and critique notes, their initial camaraderie blossoming into genuine friendship. They met for tea, discussing composition and life lessons learned from heartbreak. Ashley, grateful for Dani's forgiveness, found solace in honest collaboration. Dani, embracing empathy, discovered joy in mentoring Ashley's designs. Andre, observing from a respectful distance, found his way back to both women. Not as a romantic partner, but as a friend seeking redemption. He volunteered at events Dani organized for her art students, offering logistical help. He attended Ashley's project launches, applauding her professional strides. In doing so, he demonstrated that trust, once broken, could be painstakingly rebuilt through consistent integrity and humility. Ultimately, the night of secrets at the Lantern Bar became a distant memory, one that shaped who they were but no longer defined them. Ashley rediscovered her career ambitions unburdened by past mistakes. Dani emerged as a confident artist, her canvases a testament to the strength born from betrayal. And Andre, through acts of service and unwavering honesty, learned that true intimacy demands transparency, responsibility, and respect for the hearts we encounter. Their story, one born of sorrow, missteps, and emotional reckoning, transformed into a narrative of growth, forgiveness, and the unexpected bonds that emerge when people choose compassion over vengeance. In the end, each carried forward the lesson that while love may falter under the weight of secrets, it is also love, expressed through honesty, art, and friendship, that paves the way to genuine healing.